If something is seen as the external universe here, surely that is the infinite consciousness in fact. Just as the same person who is fast asleep goes on to dream without abandoning his sleep, even so this consciousness, which is pure and indivisible, gives rise within itself to the notion of the objective universe, without ever abandoning its own essential nature as consciousness. Therefore there is no materiality known as earth, etc. But whether one feels that what one sees are forms or not forms, the final truth is that all this is the one infinite Brahman, which alone shines as all these. All we've got are sensations. We've got sensations around which we construct our reality. We construct the reality of sense perception. All sense perception is happening right at the core of our being. It's not happening in an external world. We hypothesize the external world. We grant it reality status because it seems to be doing things independent of us, because we cannot control it. We give it this reality status. But there's no inherent basis for granting it this status if we're really interested as far as the truth is concerned. Just as the dream mountain is realized as pure void when the dreamer wakes up, even so are all these forms realized to be non-existent when one is enlightened. They're all constructions of consciousness. The dream mountain, what differentiates the dream mountain from any other object in your dream? What differentiates the dream mountain from dream space? You might argue that it's just a little difference in the fluctuation of certain neurons, but that means nothing to us. That only means something from the perspective of control, from the perspective of the conviction in an external world, the conviction in the truth of consensus reality. So that description has absolutely no relevance to us whatsoever, because a neuron is as hypothetical as you can get. We can grant it some kind of conventional existence, but how on earth does it turn the objective into the subjective? A neuron's an objective thing, an objective creation. What's that got to do with subjective experience? There seems to be some correlation. How do we make the transition from objective world to subjective experience? I don't think it's something, I don't think science will ever be able to explain it, because the fundamental assumption of science is that there's an external world. So it's firmly rooted in that. It's firmly rooted in that distinction between the individual and the world. But who knows? So the mountain in the dream, the space in the dream are non-different, and we call them void. We call them void because what are they made up of? And although the mountain in your dream has a reality, you might go up it, you might sweat as you walk up it, you might stumble on the rocks, you might experience an avalanche, you might experience fear at being up so high. You'll experience that mountain in every way that you'll experience a mountain in the waking state. You'll feel the wind, it might be cold, but it's void. Just like everything we experience in the waking state, which is essentially non-different from dream. This world is the indivisible and supreme Brahman to those who are enlightened. Though we are highly intelligent, we do not know what non-enlightenment is. Non-enlightenment or ignorance. So once you're established in this realization, you see that there's no such thing as ignorance. Everything is as it is. And I think that the point that's being made here, the emphasis seems to be that it's actually quite hard to buy in to the conventional reality anymore. You cannot see any basis for it. There's no basis in believing in the consensus reality. There's no basis for believing in this external world. It becomes an absurdity to believe this. The more you think about it, the more obvious it is that it's absurd to believe this. And of course, if you're caught up in the conviction of the external world, then it's more or less impossible to accommodate any conviction to the contrary or any point of view to the contrary. You just have to dismiss it as absurd, as religious nonsense or whatever. People think I'm doing something religious with these videos. It's quite remarkable how people want to pigeon you into a particular bracket so that they can sum you up, and you're not going to, and that way you won't upset their worldview. But what can you do? What can you do?